I needed to upgrade my CAD design software, so I chose Fusion. I've been using Carveco Maker, which has been really good for designing small things, like engravings, which I really enjoyed and took full advantage of, and it's a good CAM package. I could do many high-density nests, but I needed to upgrade the design portion because I wanted to create assemblies from 8 to over 100 pieces. So I needed to upgrade my game. I'll be honest with you, the Fusion machine setup for the CAM really intimidated me. I have a Onefinity Elite Foreman, and if I could have just gone to a list of machines and picked it out, it would have been okay. But since I had to pick a generic one and do the setup, I was a little nervous. I went to the Onefinity blogs for advice, got a little confused, and then went on YouTube, and I found Sothpaw Designs. This particular video helped me, but I still wasn't confident. It didn't give me the exact recipe I was looking for. I do like his stuff. So here's what I wound up doing. You go from design to the manufacturing environment. You go over to Manage. You click on Manage, and then go down to the Machine Library and click that on the pull-down menu. This is going to give you a long list if you look in the Fusion library. What I really wanted was a Onefinity Elite Foreman machine, but they didn't have that. So, what I learned from the blog is you go down to the Autodesk generic 3-axis router with the XYZ axis on the head. You then have to right-click this machine and copy it. Then you go over to the left-hand column. Under My Machines, click on Local. From there, you go up to the top line and you paste the machine you just copied. It will download it into the local library. It will ask you for a location, and I just picked Admin Project just because I was in a hurry. So now you can see that I've added a second copy of the Autodesk generic 3-axis router. This is because I had the one in there from before. Now you right-click on the machine and you go to Edit so that you can configure the setup for the Onefinity Elite Foreman. I didn't change anything on the General tab. Next is the Capabilities tab. I unchecked the Automatic Tool Changer and supports Tool Preload. I left the number of tools at 100 for now, but the next thing down is the max feed rate, and for this I had to go to the Onefinity Elite Foreman manual and look up the specifications page. Here I can find the rapid rate and also the cutting area for the X, Y, and Z dimensions. So for the max feed rate, I put 300 inches per minute, which is the minimum for the Z-axis, and I'm a bit of a chicken. We then move on to the Kinematics tab. Here, we can put in the information for the X, Y, and Z dimensions. I left the name of the X-axis X, the home position 0, tool change position 0. And then I went down. What I was interested in was the range. Okay, it's a limited range from 0 to 48 1/16 inches for the X-axis. The advanced settings and the collision settings I looked at, but I didn't make any changes to. Next, we go to the Y-axis, and here I put in the rapid feed rate and max feed rate as 400 inches per minute per the spec. I actually went back and changed the X from 0 to those, but I forgot to show you. Next, we go down to the range, and it's from 0 to 48 3/4 for the Y-axis. Next, we go to the Z-axis, and the range is from 0 to 7 inches maximum. If we go back to the spec page, we can see that the Z-axis rapid rate is 300 inches per minute, less than the X and the Y-axis. So we go back to the kinematics page for the Z-axis, and we put in 300 inches per minute. And the min and max range from 0 to 7 inches. I'll actually need to check what my actual maximum range is on my Z, because with my spoil board buildup, it is less than 7 inches. The next tab is post-processing. So now we need to find the post. So we go to the right side of post and click the folder, and it takes us to the Fusion library. Here we're in luck. There is 2 Onefinity post-processors, one for the Masso and one for the Buildbotics. But the trick to finding them is they're under Kibri Enterprises, not under Onefinity or Masso. So I put the Kibri Enterprises Onefinity Masso post, and then it asks me where I want to store my posts. What location? The standard location is under Documents, Fusion 360, and NC Programs. That's the folder I selected. I did not change, under the additional settings, the feed rate ratio percentage or the tool change time. And I left model alone, and then clicked OK to close out the edit. So after listening to people smarter than me, that's how I set up the machine. So now we have to see if it works. So now it's time to test the Fusion setup on the Onefinity CNC. So I set up some 1 inch by 1 inch by 1/4 inch deep test pockets. Since I was a little nervous about the setup, I set it up to cut in the air above the work pieces. That way I could test it and have plenty of room to hit the emergency stop if there was a problem. For a first air test, that went pretty well. My confidence is growing in the Fusion system. So now we'll move on to soft pine and do our first real test cut. First thing we have to do is 0 the axes. Then when we hit go, the CNC thinks we need to load another tool, so it goes to the tool change position. Then it thinks we've reloaded a new tool, which we didn't, but that's okay. So we have to re-zero the Z. Then, just to be sure, I make sure my X, Y, and Z zeros are correct before I start the CNC. And now here we go. Here is our first cut. Hand on the emergency stop to be sure. At first it drills down slowly per the Fusion program. Then it starts cutting the rectangular pattern. This looks very aggressive, so I'm going to stop it. Just to be sure, I'm going to recreate the program in Carveco, just for a comparison. Now we'll start the Carveco program, and you can see that running at the same speed, it looks the same. I was just a little nervous and overcautious. So, the Autodesk Fusion setup is correct, and we can start another project. So now it's time for a real test. Off to my wood pile to find some soft cedar. That'll work for a nice simple little bowl. This piece should work really good. It's about 5 by 5 by 5, and as soon as we flatten it, it will be a good candidate. We'll prepare this blank by running it through the jointer, the table saw, and the bandsaw to get a nice flat square piece to put in the CNC. So now let's mount this cedar blank onto the CNC wasteboard using 2 screws. That will hold it down just fine. And now for the test cut. This is cutting the cedar just fine. Looks really good in the pocket. And now to cut the outside. This is looking good. So I had one little programming error, but the Fusion setup for the Onefinity Elite Foreman was correct. Now I just have to work on my programming skills. But the air test drive, then the 1 inch square pockets, and now this cedar bowl proved that the setup works. Now I've just got to get on to the good project next. So I hope this video helps you start with your Fusion setup with more confidence than I did. But I got it to work. So all well that ends well. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and ring the bell. I appreciate you watching the Johnsonville Woodworker.